Under Ron DeSantis, Florida is one of many states that in the wake of Republican losses in the last election have decided that you voting is an inconvenience and they'd very much like less of it. And so they passed a bill, it's been signed, that is gonna make it harder in a number of different ways for people to vote. Now, there is pushback against that law. And when something like this happens, you want experts to testify, experts in democracy, in voting, in voter suppression, those sorts of things. Again, Florida would prefer less of that sort of testimony because at least 3 University of Florida professors were denied permission from the school to testify in a major voting rights case against the state. The plaintiffs in the case, which was filed in May, are a coalition of voting rights organizations that are suing Florida's Secretary of State, Laurel Lee. So as part of the testimony, the plaintiffs were seeking 3 professors from the university to testify as expert witnesses. All 3 have specializations in voting rights and behavior and election law, so they seem like you don't necessarily have to agree with their conclusions, but they certainly would know something about what they're talking about. But university officials said that because the school was a state institution, participating in a lawsuit against the state is, quote, adverse to UF's interest and could not be permitted. In their filing, the lawyers sought to question Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican, on whether he was involved in the decision. Here is where it gets a little bit dirty. So Mr. DeSantis has close allies at the University of Florida, including the head of the school's board, Morteza Hosseini, being a major Republican Party donor, and a DeSantis advisor who co-chaired a transition team formed after the governor's victory in 2018. I can't imagine a dirtier situation than that. Drain the swamp, hashtag and all that. That guy actually popped up in some more dirty news recently. So the Gainesville Sun reported that Mr. Hosseini, who is known as Maury, had arranged this fall for the University of Florida to hire and grant tenure to a controversial UCLA professor, Dr. Joseph Ladapo. If that name's familiar, that's because 2 weeks later, Mr. DeSantis named him the state's Surgeon General. So they just set up this kind of phony job so that he could have this tenured position when they elevate him immediately to this other thing. What is the University of Florida right now? Is it just for the personal pleasure of DeSantis to do whatever he wants? And of course, you're not gonna be shocked to find out that regardless of whether the state is a party to a lawsuit, professors testify constantly in those sorts of things. This is very much a specific block against a challenge to a law that he was very much a fan of. This is massive corruption, Francesca.
Yeah, I mean, it's Florida's very own, little kleptocracy or big kleptocracy and the beginning of authoritarianism. I mean, that's exactly what it is. I mean, and it's what is at the heart? Yes, there's corruption. Yes, there's on the board of trustees, but what is at the heart of Republicans' problem with higher ed and universities is they can't fully manipulate all of the information that's coming in and out of them. Period. So they buy boards of trustees, they give their friends kickbacks, they scheme up loans to get their and ways to get their daughters and sons onto rowing teams that don't actually exist. I mean, there's obviously many different ways to game the system, but at its heart, it's that I can't control what people are saying and people are learning. This is an institution that is wild, and it's wild because it's free. It's wild, not obviously it's expensive, but it is actually a place for free thought. For as much as Republicans, the freedom of speech, freedom of thought. No. That actually happens every day at universities when kids bring in articles of Cosmo magazine and are like, so I was saying, I didn't do the reading, but in Cosmo, and you're just like, oh my God, freedom of speech. Like that. So yeah, DeSantis, it's really chilling. And the right's never gonna cover it. They won't talk about this, obviously. And especially
censorship, cancel culture. Nope, doesn't count. This is the BS that is cancel culture, that this stuff doesn't actually get filed under that.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see. There is a challenge to it. Perhaps they'll be freed up. We'll see. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.